Another interesting thing that I wanted to ask you is that, obviously you've mentioned how things in terms of perceptions and mentality are changing with the age. And yet you rejoined Drowning Pool recently, the second time. And your music sounds so rejuvenated. It's so back to the roots in terms of energy and melody, and it's so like energized. So I'm interested to hear what was your perspective in this process, and how did you achieve that? Because
I think it's just who we are.
Yeah.
I'm very glad. I'm very happy about the fact that Drowning Pool has never been, at least my involvement with Drowning Pool, we've never been a band that there's so many bands out there, and I'm not going to name names because I respect the show.
Yeah.
Regardless of what I'm getting ready to say, I respect it. I do. I mean, anybody that's having success in this industry deserves respect because it's not easy. And before I go any further, real quick, when I say they spent $350,000 on a music video, that's not saying that we had $350,000 to spend on a music video. They spent our money before we ever saw it, which is why today we're not rolling up in limousines.
Wow.
Yeah. That wasn't our decision. That wasn't money that we actually had in our pocket. That's called recuperable money, which meant that we never saw money from sales and stuff because it went back to pay for the shit that they spent our money on. So don't think that I had $350,000 to spend on a fucking music video, because that's not the case.
But you were paying it for the years.
Yeah. That's why the kids are going to community college. But or if they're lucky, they're going to college. But no. I forgot the question you asked.
So I was asking you, how do you achieve this sort of...
the sound. Sorry about that.
That's fine.
We've always just played what was natural.
Yeah.
Regardless of the singer in Drowning Pool, the music has always been CJ, Mike, and Stevie.
Well done.
They've always been the writers of the music. So the music aspect of the band has never changed. Mm-hmm. When you think about it, the music that you consider Drowning Pool has always been those three guys. Mm-hmm. It's not like they changed out a main songwriter or something like that. The music has always been those three. And they've always created amazing palettes of music for the singer, regardless of who that singer was, but to dance on and to paint on vocally. So the music has never changed. And I think just the dynamic that we had together for the first 7 years that we were together to today is the dynamic that we have together when we walk into a ring that we're all in. It's just what we are naturally. Mm-hmm. And that just comes out in the music. Because I mean, that's what all the guys are. So we've never set out to, I'm coming back around to my original thing. Every once in a while you'll come across a band that like the first album sounded like this.
Yeah.
Or their first singles that you were familiar with sound like this. Yeah. And then all of a sudden they had a hit slow song.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, the next 5 singles are slow songs that sound just like that slow song that they had that big hit with. And but this band has never been about recreating bodies or recreating Tearaway. It's always just been about writing what comes natural and writing a good song, not trying to recreate this or that.
I think it's just fantastic because I think so many, bands nowadays are just doing what you've said. I mean, just recreating and trying to replicate, success things. And it's so few of them actually concentrating on creating music.
It's hard not to, because you have a lot of influence in a lot of situations, especially talking about like Shan. Yeah. We're talking about Shan would never put that pressure on you. But I've been in situations. I've been with people, whether it was labels, whether it was management, that pushed you to recreate this, or what we need now is another body. If we knew how to write another body, believe me, we would have. But you do get bands get a lot of pressure to well, this song sold this many.
Yeah.
So you need another one of those. And so they get a lot of pressure from that, and they bow to that pressure. Whereas my hat's off to Stevie, Mike, and CJ that they've never been. It's not a rebel thing. It's not like no. It just they love music, and they love creating music. And I think if you're trying to mimic something that you've done in the past, you're not getting the full. You're not getting out what you need to get out necessarily. You're concentrating on trying to recreate instead of expressing.
Yeah.
And they've always just done a good job of just being in the here and now, and not necessarily living in the past.
Which is, I think, such a great mindset to have, I guess.
Well, and I think to your point, I think that's why the music now. I say not living in the past, but I think that's why the music, the song like we released Revolution, and Revolution. We've been so busy that we have had such little time. We've got so many songs to that we've written.
Yeah.
That Revolution has happened to be the first song that got done. So we released it.
Yeah.
But there are so many songs that I'm just. We have another song coming out in a couple of weeks, but there's so many songs still that I'm more excited about than either one of these songs.
Wow.
It's just the timing that we have to get in and record and stuff. But I think that it's reminiscent of the music that we wrote together in the past because we're the same guys.
Yeah.
We're the same guys that experienced life in the same way that we did then. Life is different, but we experience it the same way because we have the same brains in our heads, and hearts in our chests that we had during those days. And so our form of expression is the same in a way. There's definitely new avenues that we take with Revolution. It's the first time that I've ever been involved in a band where we literally actually sat down at a table and we threw out ideas. Even lyrically, we threw out ideas and we collaborated on the words of the song. I've always been, in everything else I've ever done, I've always written 98% of the words. Yeah. I've always been the primary lyricist in the band. But Revolution was the first time that even with the lyrics, we sat down and we shared. Yeah. And we knew what the song root was, meaning what we wanted to express. But then everybody threw their lines and their own emotions into it, and we molded that together to end up being what Revolution was. But that was my first time being in that situation. So that was different than even my first run. We never did that back in the day. So that was an experience. It was a weird experience, but I think it turned out all right. Yeah. But it's I think you get a feeling of that same energy being here because it's the same guys. Yeah. It's the same jackasses doing it. It's two Cajuns, a hillbilly, and a redneck. There's not a lot of foresight going into what we do. We just do what we do.